Hello everybody, my name is Star Wars Boy, how are you? And welcome back to the channel for a brand new Star Wars Battlefront 2 video. In this video, we are doing a reinforcement guide, however it's actually different than usual. For instance, today we are going to be going over 3 reinforcements in one video instead of making one guide for each of them. This is simply because all 3 of these reinforcements are pretty much very similar and were the 3 launch reinforcements along with the Death Trooper. So we're going to start with the Super Battle Droid, then the Flametrooper, and finishing off with the Wookie Warrior. I'm going to be leaving timestamps for the start of each guide, so you will know where to skip to if you want to see who to get good with. So, let's get started. Now starting off with the Super Battle Droid, they have a base battle point cost of 1000 with a base health of 300, putting them at the lower end of health pools for reinforcement. The weapon of choice is the Twin Wrist Blaster, which is seen throughout the Clone Wars and Revenge of the Sith, although we do see different Super Battle Droids with different weapons. The damage per hit is 43 to 24 with a DPS of 225 to 120. The range is pretty decent, coming in at 20 to 40 meters, and the overheat is after 25 shots. His L1 ability is called Wrist Rocket and has a 30-second cooldown. Wrist Rockets are high-velocity anti-personnel rockets that explode on impact with any object. The damage is at 250. As for the pros, it has amazing damage, being able to one-hit every single class in the game. And come on, watch those wrist rockets? That's an OG saying. As for the cons, it does have a long cooldown. 30 seconds is quite a bit to wait. Their R1 ability is called Fortify and has a 23-second cooldown. Use Fortify to temporarily boost the Enforcer's health. The duration of this ability is 18 seconds. As for the pros, it gives extra 170 health to the Super Battle Droid, and he is in desperate need for it because his health pool is already low. And it also has a long duration, meaning that you are going to keep that health for a long amount of time. However, the cooldown is pretty long, coming in at 23 seconds. His final middle ability is called Overload and has a 16-second cooldown. This ability overrides a weapon's factory settings and modifies the primary fire mode and super cools the barrel to prevent heat buildup. The duration of this ability is 9 seconds. As for the pros, it prevents overheat, which is honestly pretty good itself, and has amazing DPS, and is just really overpowered if you go for headshots. Honestly, this ability is pretty much perfect and by far the Super Battle Droid's best ability. Taking a look at some star cards, and I have chosen 3 star cards that I think are really good for the Super Battle Droid. The first one is Enforcer Training. You gain a small amount of health for each defeated enemy, from 13 health to 50 health with a maxed out star card. This card is plain and simple. The Super Battle Droid already has less health than almost every Enforcer, so getting more health for each kill you get will be really good for you and will help you stay alive longer. The next card I recommend is called Battle Hardened. Maximum health is increased from 5% to 20% with a maxed out star card. Personally, again, the Super Battle Droid does not have that much health, and increasing that health is really going to help you in staying alive longer. The final card I am going to recommend is the Expert Weapons Handling card. You are able to keep your middle ability active for longer, from 17% to 66% with a maxed out star card. The Super Battle Droid's middle ability is just really good, and being able to have it active for a longer duration is really going to help you. If you never have used the Super Battle Droid's middle ability, I suggest you loading up Battlefront 2, hopping in a Supremacy match, going in a small hallway, and just using that overload ability on everyone. It is crazy overpowered, especially if you go for headshots, and just use this card. You'll thank me later. Now moving on to the Flametrooper, these guys have a battle point cost of 1,500 with a base health of 400, already putting them at a better health pool than the Super Battle Droids. Their weapon of choice is their D93 Incinerator, which is a really complicated weapon to base stats on. The damage per hit is an estimated 22 plus 11 per second, and the rate of fire is 360 rounds per minute. The range is 12 meters, being a pretty short range weapon, and the overheat is after 42 shots. His L1 ability is called Incendiary Imploder and has a 33-second cooldown. The duration of this explosive is 6 seconds and the damage is 110 plus 20 per second, which is pretty good. It does have damage over time as well, which is pretty good as well. And it slightly obstructs view since you're throwing a imploder that explodes with fire. However, as for the cons, it does have a long cooldown, coming in at a whopping 33 seconds. Their R1 ability is called Fortify and has a 23-second cooldown. Use Fortify to temporarily boost the Enforcer's health. The duration of this ability is 18 seconds. As for the pros, it gives an additional 175 extra health and does have a long duration, and also has a long cooldown, which is one of its downsides, coming in at 23 seconds. This ability is pretty basic and it's one that every launch reinforcement has, and it's just a solid one. There's nothing really wrong with it except for its long cooldown. Despite what the template says, the next ability is called Overload and has a 16-second cooldown. It overrides a weapon's factory settings and modifies the primary fire mode and super cools the barrel to prevent heat buildup. The duration of this ability is 9 seconds. As for the pros, it increases the rate of fire to 600 rounds per minute and is very chaotic. If you and a bunch of teammates choose the Flametrooper in close quarters map and just unleash this ability, the enemy is gonna ask themselves what the hell is going on, because it's pretty much impossible to see and it's very chaotic because everything is on fire around you. As for the cons, I'd honestly say none. The Overload is probably the most solid reinforcement ability. Moving on to their star cards, and the first card I'm going to recommend is the Survivalist card. Health regenerates faster from 55 health to 100 health. Now this may be a kind of weird choice, however the Flametrooper does have a pretty short range weapon and can't do anything really at long range. So you are going to be taking a lot of hits from people that are farther away from you, and being able to regenerate that health back faster is a key aspect when playing as these guys. That also revolves into the next card, which is Enforcer Training. You gain a small amount of health for each defeated enemy, from 13 health to 50 health with a maxed out star card. Again, this card is pretty simple. The Flametrooper is going to be taking a lot of damage, mainly because not only how bulky he is, but also how short ranged his weapon is. So being able to regenerate health faster than anyone around you is going to be really helpful. The final card I'm going to recommend is their Expert Weapons Handling card. You are able to keep your middle ability active for a longer duration, from 17 seconds to 66 seconds with a maxed out star card. This card is just plain and simple for the Flametroopers, as their middle ability is so chaotic that having it active for longer is really going to help you. Not only is it crazy overpowered, but it's also just really hard for the enemy to see, and especially lightsaber heroes, it messes them up a lot. So, having this ability for an active longer duration is just better. Now, the Flametroopers did receive a secondary fire in the Scarif update, and it honestly is pretty decent, closing the range. It is good to know that the Flametroopers do have a small range attack, although it's not the best. The damage per hit is 100, not enough to one-hit any single class. The blast radius is 5 meters, and the inner blast radius is 1 meter. The overheat is after 2 shots. Again, this secondary fire is not the best in the game. I mean, it's nowhere near. However, it is good to know that the devs were considering buffing these guys and making them just a bit better at long ranges. Finishing off the guide with the Wookie Warrior, their battle point cost is 1,500 with a base health of 320. Their weapon of choice is their bowcaster, which we see them use in Revenge of the Sith. The damage per hit is at 30 to 8 with a blast damage of 15. The DPS is 180 to 91 and the range is 10 to 25 meters, putting it at the shorter range. The overheat is 6 shots. Their R1 ability is called Thermal Imploder and has a 33-second cooldown. The Thermal Imploder's compressed heat waves creates a massive implosion, dealing damage in a large radius, with a damage of 200, being able to one-hit every single base class. As for the pros, it has a great radius and amazing damage. However, it can be avoided easily because of its long time up and that little alarm it has. It also has a really long cooldown, coming at 33 seconds. Their R1 ability is called Slam and has a 9-second cooldown. The Wookie Warrior slams his fists onto the ground, dealing damage and knocking enemies off the feet. When hitting an enemy, the warrior replenishes a portion of his base health. The damage of this slam is really low, coming in at 75. As for the pros, it knocks enemies off their feet and regenerates your health. However, it has terrible damage and replaced an amazing ability. In case you don't know, the Wookie Warrior did used to have a Fortify ability, however, it was replaced in the original trilogy update with the Slam. Their final middle ability is called Overload and has a 16-second cooldown. It overrides a weapon's factory settings and modifies the primary fire mode and super cools the barrel to prevent heat buildup. The duration of this ability is 9 seconds. As for the pros, it adds more bolts to the weapon and increases the DPS. However, it does limit the mobility with these guys, and they are already pretty bulky and slow, so it makes them a big target. Moving on to the Wookiee star cards, and the first card I'm going to recommend is the Expert Weapons Handling card. You're able to keep your middle ability active for a longer duration, from 17% to 66% with a maxed out star card. Now, the Wookie Warrior's Overload ability is pretty good in taking out a bunch of enemies, so this card is only natural to choose from, as his two other abilities are pretty questionable. This ability will help you a lot in getting kill streaks, and this card will make that ability even better. The next card I'm going to recommend is their Battle Hardened card. The maximum health is increased from 5% to 20% with a maxed out star card. The Wookie Warrior has 320 health, and that can easily be increased with this card. I feel like this card is pretty much a necessity for every single enforcer in the game, cause why would you not want extra health? It's just going to help you and give you extra health. It's pretty self-explanatory. Their final card, which I'm going to recommend, is the Enforcer Training card. The Wookiees gain a small amount of health for each defeated enemy, from 13 health to 50 health with a maxed out star card. This card is one that I recommend for almost every single enforcer, as the Wookie Warrior does not have an ability which gives him extra health, so this card is really going to help him a lot more than everyone else. So that is going to be it for this triple reinforcement guide, guys. I have 2 more of these styled videos coming out in later weeks. The first one will be for the Aerials and the First Order Jet Trooper, and the second one will be for the ISB Agent and Ewok. I have to still do the Catholic Spy hero guide, but I will do that eventually. I also have the class guides to finish up, and then we are officially done the entire hero guide, reinforcement guide, and class guide series for Battlefront 2. If you did enjoy the video and want to see more, be sure to subscribe with notifications on. See you guys next time, bye, and may the Force be with you always.